Welcome back. One of my favourite things about Arkham Origins is its assassins. The premise of Batman fighting off 8 of the world's best killers is really cool, and so today we're going to rank them all, from worst to best. But in the true spirit of Arkham Origins Batman, I realised no man is an island, and that's why to help me out today, the wonderful Arkham Analysis will be swooping in to help me talk about Bane whenever he shows up in the list. So stick around for that, and in the meantime, if you don't agree with my list, tell me. Keep it civil though, just because our opinions on this game might be different doesn't mean anyone needs to get angry or take it personally. I know someone will, because that's just how it goes, but I love talking to you guys in the comments. We've got a really chill community over here, which I'm very thankful for, and I try to respond to as many of you as I can, so let me know what you think down below. And obviously don't forget to leave a like to help the video out, and if you want to be really supportive, hit the subscribe button as we inch ever closer to 10,000 subscribers. And well, let's get into it.
Street tough named Lester Baczynski calls himself Electrocutioner.
Kicking us off, it had to be him, didn't it? Electrocutioner was a character who was in Arkham Origins. He showed up. Yep, he was in the game. All joking aside, Mr. Cutioner nearly wormed his way into 7th place, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. The only reason he nearly got a little bit higher is due to the fact without him there would be no shock gloves. But I know a lot of you don't really appreciate their presence in the game, which is fair. They do make the game a bit easier as you get the upgrades. But my counter to this is that using them in Arkham Shadow is extremely satisfying, and I love them in that game. His design is certainly the design of all time, and obviously the boss encounter is iconic, and his ending is, well, come on, it's kind of funny.
Shiva. Her skill is unmatched.
Coming in at number 7, we have Lady Shiva, someone who Batman seems to hold in high regards and ultimately respect, but sadly we don't have that in common. Unfortunately for Shiva, she falls into the same fate as the number 6 spot on our list, and that is being relegated to side content. This is one of my biggest gripes with Origins, and it really irks me they chose to go with 8 assassins, include 6 in the main story, and then relegate 2 to side missions, but I digress. I think Shiva had a pretty cool setup. Leaving the bank and hearing the baby crying only to be jumped by Shiva is really memorable and really cool, and a side mission is pretty alright, but nothing particularly special, which is a shame because I think there was certainly something to be built upon here following her introduction. She doesn't really affect the wider world of Batman, but she does hint at Ra's al Ghul and the League, which is nice to see in Batman's early years. I get what they were going for with her, trying to question the moral side of Batman so early into his career, but it just didn't quite land, something I hope they rectify should we ever get another Shiva appearance. Her boss fight is okay at best, her side mission is only around 10 minutes to complete for a first time player, and does cover both detective and combat gameplay, which is an upside, but I think they could have done so much more with her, and ultimately her side mission's crowning moment is when it's done, and Batman delivers a line which aged worse than milk.
I doubt tonight's the last I'll see of Shiva. Lloyd Lawton, aka Deadshot.
Shooting his way into number 6 is Deadshot. I once wrote a song about Deadshot, those who know, know. But putting my musical talents aside, which are dubious to say the very least, I think this side mission is pretty okay, much like Shiva. The initial setup is again pretty cool. The helicopter crash and discovering that it was Deadshot behind it is really fun. What puts Deadshot above Shiva for me is his boss fight, which I think is one of the most creative moments in the game. Deadshot can ricochet his bullets, and it's just really cool to see Deadshot be used this way, and it goes a long way to solidify him as a pretty memorable character despite his small inclusion, and it definitely makes up for his disappointing ending in City. There really isn't much more to say on White Shot here, but I think he's definitely an improvement on his other 2 outings in the franchise to date. He also gets hit with one of the most targeted and thoughtful attacks ever as Bruce decides to snap Floyd's shooting arm around his ribs.
His name is Killer Croc. He's already behind bars.
Biting his way into not only my heart, but my number 5 spot, we have my favourite Batman character ever. Now, this might be a weird inclusion to put here, but just hear me out, okay? Because I'm fully aware that Deadshot definitely has a case for being here instead of Killer Croc. I think Croc gets a short but memorable outing here. He's our first real dive into what a boss fight looks like, and despite its short nature, it's really cool. I also really like the fact that this serves as both a physical measuring stick for Batman and a nostalgic look back into the past for the player. Croc appeared as one of the final foes in Arkham Asylum in what I have dubbed the boss run section of the game, where you face Crane, Croc, the Sewer Titan, Ivy and Joker, all within a quick burst. So to have him appear here first in the game lets the player know that Origins already has a bigger scope to it than Asylum, or even in some aspects City. It shows that Croc is the least of your worries tonight, and that could be a terrifying thought, and his capture feels earned despite its brief nature. Story-wise, it works well that Batman takes a 9-foot crocodile man down in his second year. It kind of shows how good Batman already is this early into his career, and I think he was the perfect fit for the villain to reveal the night's proceedings to Batman. And I think the fact we got to see him evolve across the entire Arkham series adds to his inclusion here as a tragic but well-loved villain. He shows up, is scary, makes an impact, and leaves. I also, for some bonus points, quite like his design here. It's not my favourite Croc design, but it's good. It fits this period of Batman's career well, and I think considering this is probably his first interaction with the villain which isn't entirely human, it's really cool. He also shows up at the end of the game, which is nice. It's a cool full circle moment, and I really appreciate that, but I'm not a fan of the fact that he gets sniped.
Screw this! Want the Joker? Take him. Garfield Lens, aka Firefly, burns on 90% of his body.
Firing himself into the number 4 spot, we have a hot topic of discussion. Firefly is one of the more underappreciated characters in this game, but for me, he's easily one of the best. His set-piece section on the bridge is one of the most memorable sections across the whole story, and from start to finish he makes an impact, and also shows us the lengths these assassins are willing to go to claim the bounty on the Bat's head. I had some conflict on whether to put Firefly here or in the spot above him, and I genuinely still don't know if this is the right choice. I love Firefly because he's one of the parts of the night which forms the bond between Commissioner Gordon and Batman even further, and I think without the two working together to stop the bombs and take Linz down, their relationship might not have been as far along as it was by the end of the game. Focusing on the man himself though, I think he's presented really well here. Before this he was a C-tier villain, and that's probably being generous, and I think having him feature so prominently here and be portrayed so well really introduced him to a wider audience and proved that Arkham Origins' greatest strength was getting us all to care about a lineup of assassins primarily composed of some of Batman's lesser known foes. Unless you watched Batman TV series, and if you have, you're on the right side of history and we can be friends. His boss fight is probably my personal favourite in the game as well. I think it's a little repetitive, but I think it's awesome. The music by Christopher Drake just hits perfectly, and the whole fight is pure cinema. Using the globular projectile for non-lethal restraint.
You mean the glue grenade?
And the batarangs to bring him down so you can grapple up to him is really fun, and the little part of it where you have to navigate the bridge while he fires at you is awesome. Overall, I love Firefly, and it was really hard to split him from the next assassin. His voice actor also might have one of my favourite names ever for a character's voice actor. He's called Crispin Freeman. Seriously, Firefly, the pyromaniac who burns citizens, buildings and everything in between, is called Crispin Freeman. Crisping free men. It's just perfect. I also found out he voices him in LEGO DC Supervillains, which is fun. He's also been in a load of other games I've played and a load of anime I'll never watch, so all in all, he seems pretty chill. Or fire, I guess.
You need a new hobby. There's a face I don't recognize. Copperhead. Strange. These reports reference a male, not a female.
Sliding away into the top 3 is Copperhead. Copperhead and Firefly both had a pretty equal chance to get this spot, but Copperhead snuck in just ahead of Linz for one very important reason. That being, she actually came the closest, aside from Bane, to actually completing the contract and killing Batman. Copperhead is a character I knew literally nothing about going into Arkham Origins as a little 8-year-old, but she quickly became one of my favourite characters in the game. Now, do I, in hindsight, put that down to a bit of Scarecrow nostalgia? Yes, I do, but I think on her own, out of the shadow of Crane, she works so well. She really messes Batman up. She shows him his greatest fears, which at this point consist of failing those he loves and letting even more people die, and these things almost actually come to fruition when Bane invades Wayne Manor and nearly kills Alfred. So in a way, Copperhead foreshadows Bruce's own real failures before they happen, while reminding him of those he's already failed. Her whole encounter is really cool. We get a little detective segment to figure out what her poison is made from, and from there it moves into a very Scarecrow-inspired segment, which is nothing short of brilliant. It has frights, fights, and, tight? You get the point, it's awesome. Seeing Alfred tell Bruce he's a failure and a spoiled brat perfectly foreshadows their iconic argument later in the game, and seeing Commissioner Loeb tell Bruce a real hero would have saved him is just brutal. And then finally we see the bank manager Joker killed in the Gotham Merchants Bank, and that's just a great sequence. We see all sides of the failures of Batman, and the failures he will come to endure. His family, the people of Gotham, and the figures Gotham believe in. At some point or another, he has to be the one to save them all, and in that same vein, eventually he will fail because to be a hero, he has to fail. I think Copperhead is one of the unsung MVPs of Arkham Origins, and much like Firefly, often sits in the shadow of the other two assassins in the game. I'm also in absolute stitches whenever Batman beats her and hits her with this move.
Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, former military, subject of a failed medical experiment.
Failed, you say?
Oh yeah, Deathstroke the Terminator. I think there's only one word I can use to sum up Slade here, and that is cool as shit. I know that's 3, but am I wrong? No, I'm not. That was a rhetorical question. My first interaction with Deathstroke was this game, him dragging Batman out of Penguin's office by his leg and proceeding to match him strike for 10 minutes. I was in awe at the time. How could someone match Batman like this? This fight, which is basically his entire involvement in the game, is just cinema. I know all of a sudden it's cool to say this fight is mid and scripted, but like, shut up. Like, that you will see the coolest thing ever and go, like it's nothing. Like, come on, this is so cool. This is exactly what we needed. We've got 2 gladiators in a pit, one fighting for his life and the other for the money. The music, the stakes, the aura, it's all here. Batman strikes and Slade slips him. Slade hits a combo, Batman counters. It's just cinema. It's the Terminator versus the Dark Knight of Gotham. 2 sides of the same coin fighting for their own reasons, but ultimately to prove themselves better than the other. We have 2 fighters, one experienced, not new to the horrors of war, and the other new, untested, and raw, colliding for one of the only times in their respective careers, and it's perfect. I think what puts this fight, and thus Slade above the rest of the characters we've spoken about so far, is the pure rawness of it. At its core, it is 2 combatants going at it in a duel of fate which would go down in Arkham history. We even find out Batman would come to fear Slade as the series goes on, especially in his early years. By the time we get to Arkham Knight, this isn't the case, but for a while he sits alongside very elite company at the table of men even the Batman fears. Deathstroke clearly respects Batman when he's beaten. He asks him what he is before Batman takes him out, and it's moments like that where the respect is earned between the two. They might not like each other, they might not be on the same page, but by the end of the fight they respect each other's skill, and it comes together to create one of Arkham's best fights and rivalries, sadly tainted by Arkham Knight. But in this 10 minutes in the bowels of the final offer, Slade and Bruce prove why they are who they are. It's beautiful and I love it so much. Slade probably has the least amount of impact on the story besides Deadshot and Shiva, but by God he leaves an impact on the player. He shows up and shows out. And of course we can't not talk about the music here. The thumping, metallic sounding score to Batman's toughest test in his career up until this point just ties this whole thing together. The track, simply titled Deathstroke, is one of the best tracks in the game and just captures the essence of both the game as a whole and this fight perfectly. Christopher Drake once again smashes the soundtrack for this game, but outside of maybe 2 or 3 other tracks, this is up there as one of my favourites. It's raw, animalistic and industrial, which fits this whole situation so well. I love Deathstroke in this game, and I think this boss fight is the best boss fight in Arkham history, and I do not care if you disagree. It simply has everything. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
It appears the game is over before it even begins.
I'm not playing games, Slade. Bane, here in Gotham.
And to absolutely no one's surprise, coming in at number 1 is Bane, the man who broke the bat. Bane is, as we can pretty much all agree on, really cool, but unfortunately he's too strong to analyse alone, so I called in some help from someone who actually knows how to analyse a character.
Hey Charles, I think I should take the mic for this one, if you don't mind, cause this segment needs a woman's touch. As a huge fan of the Nightfall comics, I can confidently say this is the best Bane we have ever seen in media. Arkham Origins nails his essence, bringing to life a character who's both physically a powerhouse and a tactical genius. This Bane studies Batman, outsmarts him, and even uncovers the Batcave, something no other villain in the series pulls off. Unlike his appearance in Asylum and City, where he's more brute than brains, Origin delivers a Bane who's Batman's equal, balancing intelligence and strength in a way that feels true to the Nightfall source material. He's menacing, calculated, and unforgettable. What truly elevates this Bane is the phenomenal voice acting by J.B. Blanc. No shade to the other voice actor, but JB's performance is on another level. It honestly makes my knees weak every time I listen to it. Anyway, he doesn't just grunt or growl, he brings clarity, purpose, and danger to every line he says in the game. You can hear the strategy in his voice, setting this Bane apart from the typical monster muscle portrayed in other games and media. Instead of a cartoonish luchador or a power tank, JB gives us a grounded human Bane with a precise, chilling tone. Blanc captures Bane's Nightfall roots perfectly, educated, multilingual, and militant. His performance fits the darker, grounded tone of Arkham Origins, and it complements Roger Craig Smith's gritty, early career Batman perfectly. In short, Arkham Origins gives us the ultimate Bane, a powerhouse with a brilliant mind, a commanding presence, and a voice that just, let's be real, absolutely swoon-worthy. This isn't just the Bane we needed, it's the Bane we deserved. I could talk about my Bane, all day, but I'll save that for my own videos. I just started overanalyzing Batman Arkham Origins on my channel, so go check it out after this video. Here's your mic back now, Charles. Thanks for having me.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Seriously, I couldn't. A huge thank you to Arkham Analysis for her help with this. It's been really cool working together, and if you want some more of Arkham Analysis's top-notch Arkham Analysis, there's a link to the first part of her Arkham Origins over-analysis in the description, which I would highly recommend you go and watch, because it's really good, and will remind you just why you love Origins so much, and a huge thanks to her for doing the Bane art for the thumbnail. Okay, so how do you follow up a really well-written analysis of Bane? Well, like a monkey slapping a keyboard. Bane is just flat out phenomenal in Arkham Origins, and honestly I think his boss fights are where this game truly hits their peak. They're the perfect blend of gameplay, narrative, and character development. In my eyes, they are where Origins stops just being the black sheep of the family and becomes a genuinely great Batman story in its own right. Our first real encounter with him on the rooftop of the Gotham Royal Hotel introduces us to the Bane train, and first and foremost, I hate the Bane train. But while the fight is technically unwinnable, it still feels like a proper hand-to-hand fight. It's scrappy, it's hard-hitting, and it's extremely cinematic. Bane lets Batman throw hands with him not out of respect or because he genuinely thinks that he can't beat Batman, but because he still sees him as a lesser combatant. He's barely a threat. It gives off the same energy as when Cal fights Vader in Fallen Order. Vader isn't really trying, he's more kind of mildly curious, like he'd rather be doing literally anything else. When we get to Blackgate though, Bane shines once again. Turning this fight into a stealth-based encounter is genius. It changes the typical Batman and Bane dynamic and puts the Dark Knight on the back foot at his own game, which is stealth. The first clash felt like a brawl, the second introduced the shock gloves and gave Batman a fighting chance, and if he didn't have to stop Bane's heart to save him from brain damage or, death, I'm pretty confident Bats would have just knocked him out and moved on. But this third fight is really something else. It strips you of detective mode at the halfway point and makes you work harder than ever before to win. The tension, the music, the atmosphere, it all builds to a fight that feels personal and desperate, especially with the added time limit and the tension built by the radio broadcast we can hear while fighting. Yes, obviously Batman ends up winning, but the fact that the game makes you doubt that even for a second is for me what makes it work so well. Bane doesn't just come up as the top assassin on my list, he feels like Batman's true nemesis in this game. For me, Bane is Arkham Origins' best villain. He pushes Batman to his limits, mentally and physically, and forces him to be better, to let his family help him after he very nearly kills the only person Bruce has left. And that's why, for me, Bane is number one, and probably will be for the rest of time. Forget the other Bane from Asylum and City, that's not even the same, guys. Completely different. Ignore the brain damage and the memory loss, we don't talk about that guy. Well, we've reached the end. Let me know what you think of my list and tell me yours down below. Keep it civil though, if my list is different to yours, it's nothing personal. Again, I have to say a huge thank you to Arkham Analysis for your awesome work in this video, and thank you to all of you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did enjoy, and subscribe to help us hit our goal of 10,000 subscribers, because I have some really big content in the works for you all, and I am almost certain you will love it all. Anyway, I will see you next time, and goodbye.